can see Prime Minister Narendra Modi is holding a meeting with the other leaders. And remember, as we speak of this summit, today there are key bilateral meetings which have been lined up for Prime Minister, wherein he is going to meet the leaders of 8 countries. Most importantly, he is going to hold talks with French President also, and also UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, who is going to be there, and the both counterparts are going to hold bilateral meetings today.
So it more or less looks like a breakfast meeting. I mean, the world leaders seem to be casually dressed, and the Prime Minister also entering the area. As the world leaders there, you can see sitting in a circular form, and they are sitting there as the French President has also arrived. Emmanuel Macron, we are also looking at how the conversations has been going on between the global leaders. Of course, the warm handshake that happened between Prime Minister Modi and the US President Joe Biden. Emmanuel Macron also making a point to visit and greet Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Rishi Sunak also, for the first time taking office, as we are getting pictures of him also having a word with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And also the pictures that are coming in of Prime Minister Narendra Modi also sharing a light moment there, as he also indulged in the cultural festivities that happened in Indonesia last evening. The pictures that came in from Bali, Indonesia being the host country there, the president there also being very much visible. Shinjoy, it seems like a breakfast meeting there. US President Joe Biden, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is also reached.
Yes, undoubtedly. This is an opportunity for all these leaders, all 17 or 18 of them this time, to actually sit together and look at issues and try and sort them out even in a casual atmosphere. 2 leaders are not here. Vladimir Putin has not come, and President Lula, who has just been elected but has not been sworn in, has not come. But otherwise, the 17 countries and the EU have sent their heads of state or government. So this is an opportunity for all these people. Now, if you look at Narendra Modi, there are many leaders here who have been recently elected. The Russian Chancellor, the German Chancellor Scholz, Olaf Scholz, has just come in. Angela Merkel was a very close friend of, is a close friend of Narendra Modi, but Scholz and Modi have not got together. They have not met very often. Again, the same applies to the Italian Prime Minister. She has just come in. The same applies to Albanese in Australia. Again, a new Prime Minister. So it helps when a meeting like this happens, because they can all get together and talk and get to know each other, which is very important. So apart from that, of course, there are old friends. Macron is a very old friend of the Prime Minister. They get along very well. Rishi Sunak, on the other hand, has just come in as Prime Minister. So he and Prime Minister Modi will have to build a relationship, which is going to be very important. So this is really an opportunity for the Prime Minister and all other leaders to get to know each other and build a relationship that will bring the world, bring them closer, their countries closer. This is what this breakfast meeting is all about.
Yes, and also Shinjoy, what makes the last day crucial is that it is today in the closing ceremony when finally the G20's presidency is going to be handed over to India.
Yes, there are two or three important issues today. The first is, of course, the plans have changed a little bit because of all this missile attack. But the first is there was going to be a visit to a mangrove forest. Now that is a way of saying that we care about climate change. The second thing, of course, there will be a big meeting on digital transformation. Now that is crucial because India is also going to play a major role there. India is an IT superpower. And if there is a session on digital transformation, India will play a big role. Thirdly, as you rightly said, the presidency of the G20 will be handed over to India. And for the next 1 year, India will be president of the G20. The next summit of the G20 will be held in New Delhi in September. That at least is the current plan. Now, after that, there will be these 8. In the middle, all this will be 8 bilaterals, unless, of course, there is some emergency vis-a-vis this missile attack. They will be with the prime ministers of Britain, of Italy, of Spain, and then Australia. There will be a chancellor of Germany meeting, Singapore, and of course the president of Indonesia and the president of France. All these meetings are coming up. Each of them will be about half an hour long. And then in the evening, Prime Minister will fly back to India.
Absolutely, because we are looking at just few hours with the meeting there that will be concluding, and from India, when it comes to the presidency from Indonesia, that will be now handed over to India. We also have Mr. RSN Singh joining us here on the broadcast. Sir, as far as Prime Minister Modi's address to the Indian diaspora is concerned, because he's been talking about an unprecedented speed and scale, and the country which is a ray of hope for the world in the 21st century is India.
Yes, I was very intently hearing his speech to the Indian diaspora, and it's only the when you compare things that you really come to know the scale of it. And I've always felt that we Indians, I mean, some of us have a habit of running down ourselves, but if you really see, if you compare, if you say that how many bank accounts, so if you say 32 crores, and that is the population of the United States, then you really realize that, yes, it's staggering. So what I want to convey to my fellow countrymen is that we have been endowed with some special abilities and a great civilization, and that is what Prime Minister Modi has underscored in his own way. So I really liked, and I think this should be conveyed to every citizen of this country, so that we exert ourselves with renewed vigor. After all, we have and it's not in question of Mr. Modi or this Prime Minister or that Prime Minister. I'm talking as an Indian. I'm talking as an Indian, and this was the confidence. This was the confidence of this new India, an India which thinks big, which was very much evident in the Prime Minister Mr. Modi's body language when he interacted with the other world leaders. Now it is very easy to say that yes, people have contributed in the past also. Come on, we are aware of history. I mean, we never took an independent position ever in history of India. And maybe that we are fortunate enough that the geopolitics has turned out to be in our favor. And this is, I can tell you that this is India's century.
And absolutely, sir, because even if we talk about, do you believe that India has managed to bring the world together, especially when it comes to global peace? I mean, the Prime Minister's message of this is not the time of war is being agreed and accepted by world leaders, sir.
It had to. It had to, because you cannot suppress Sanatan for very long. By Sanatan, I mean an eternal civilization. An internal civilization may wax and wane, but it can never be extinguished. So many civilizations have been extinguished. You can't extinguish the Indian civilization, that is the Sanatan civilization. So now that all the other discourses have run their course, I think you find the Indian civilization asserting itself. And that is why when we talk of peace, I mean, when you talk of Vasudev Kutum, it is not gimmicks. After all, if the world has to survive, it has to be on the precept of Vasudev Kutum. You can't be, the oil mafia or the pharmaceutical mafia or, the military-industrial complex can never bring peace to this world. And yet we are not, it is not to say that we abandon our, we abandon totally, our ability to defend ourselves. We will defend ourselves.
Well, the G20 summit has been a special one for India this time as the country is all set to take over the presidency. Yes, there are going to be challenges which are going to lay in front of the country, but it needs to be seen how India is going to lead from the front. Well, thank you, RSN Singh and Srinjoy, for joining us. And on that note, it's a very quick break.